Hello and welcome to the Google Classroom Intro webinar. My name is Larissa Uceda.
Hi, my name is Rosie Castle.
And you're stuck with us today. No, it should be good. We're excited that you're here and we're ready to go. So I'm going to do most of the talking. Rosie will be manning the chat. But all right, great. So last year, how Google Apps and Google Classroom came into our district is we had a large Chromebook initiative that started last year. And with the Chromebooks, every district teacher and student and actually employee now has a Google account. So with these Google accounts, teachers can now use the Google Classroom, which is available just for this education RCSD one-to-one accounts. For you, just a quick reminder, your district Google account is your ID at rcsd121.org. And if you want to think about that as the goal of this project is one Chromebook or one device for one student eventually. So 121, one-to-one. And it's your district password. So it does sync the minute that you change your district password, your Google account password changes. If it is different, just reset your password. There was a week before Christmas that it wasn't syncing, so there's a few people out there that have that it's not the same, but just reset your password and you'll be set to go. That said, it's the same for the student email. It's their full ID and then at rcsd121.org. If they, their default password, which is set the first day of school, is their birthday password. Now, if you have a new student that comes into the district, you need to reset their password for their district password, and then it will sync to their Google. Okay, so just for new students. Everyone else, it's their birthday password. And most of you are from high school. A lot of your students, you know, are already, they changed their password, they have their own password, that's fine. But for elementary, it's that birthday password. Okay, so here we go. So we're gonna do a quick overview.
You know, Larissa, I think we had some people joining us just in the last few minutes. So we just want to remind you to make sure that you sign in the chat window, just to remind everybody so that way Larissa can keep going.
Perfect. And Rosie, just jump in at any time with your words of wisdom. I know sometimes I call you out and you're in the middle of replying to someone, but feel free to jump in at any time like you usually do. Okay, so what is Google Classroom? It's a tool to assist teachers in assigning and collecting work, and you'll see this, we'll go over this, how easy it is. It organizes, like in the video, it organizes their assignments, and it's a way to communicate with students. This is a huge, it manages the document sharing, okay? They don't have to share it with you, you don't have to go to Shared With Me. It's doing file naming. It's a huge organizational help. It's very easy to use. Students can come here to get their assignments even from home. But it is really simplifying and automating that workflow, that back and forth between you and your student. Okay. Now, what is Google Classroom is not the following. Okay, you can put grades in it. It's not your grade book. You have to add your students to the class or they join with a code, but it's not a management system. It's not a robust learning management system. So we have e-learning that you logged in for our online PD, and that is a more robust learning LMS or learning management system, and we'll talk about that a little later. It is designed, Google Classroom is designed to work along with existing solutions. Okay, so PowerSchool, Parent Connect. Okay, good. So you have options. Again, we talked about Chromebooks. If you have Chromebooks, great. If you don't, as long as you have devices or you're in a computer lab, you can use Google Classroom. But our first option is just using sharing files through the Drive. Okay, students create a Google Doc or a presentation, and then they share it with their teacher. Okay, the teacher gets an email, they can, or they just know that the student shared it with them, they can comment, and that works for some people. Okay, and let's take a quick look at that. And it's a perfectly good option. So the student is going to go to their Drive and create under the a new document. Now here the student needs to name it. The giver. And my student is Joe. Yes, Rosie, did you have something?
Nope, just watching.
Okay, so the student still has to name their document. They probably still put their name on their document, and then they can start writing. They're going to compare, contrast characters in the giver. So I'm going to stop here. And now when the student wants to share it, they go up to that blue share. They search for their teacher. You say to N. And they just look for the name with the ID and send it or share it. Okay, so that would be through the Drive, and then the teacher is going to their Drive and can look at the papers. Oops. Sorry, I got out of order, so let me just, I like to present in a new window. I'm going to do that. Okay, so that is one way using the Drive, and we have the Drive icon, some icons for docs and sharing. That's not why we're here today, but hopefully if you're using that, you're going to be in a good place for Google Classroom. So we often hear teachers, if you, especially at a high school and you have multiple sections, you could have potentially 100 files in your shared, coming in to sort through. So let's look at Google Classroom. Google Classroom, the teacher creates an announcement or an assignment. You can attach your documents, and then the students create and then turn it in through Google Classroom. Now the teacher does not go to their Drive, although it works in conjunction with the Drive and the files are there. They always go to Google Classroom. And that's actually something that it's good to remember. Once you start using Google Classroom, you're always going to go there to view, to grade, return work. Okay, so it's simplifying, and you'll see more when we look at the different views of Google Classroom. Now, we don't want to forget your last option of using, creating a classroom in e-learning. So there is a course where I think it's the Create Your Virtual Classroom, okay? And it's an online PD. You get a domain, and you could create your course in e-learning. It has more options for tagging assignments with standards, it's just as we talked about, a more robust learning management system. And again, in the same way, students get their content, assignments, submit work, post into the discussions in e-learning. So those are your 3 choices. Let's see what you choose. Most people love Google Classroom, and then some people choose between e-learning and Google Classroom. Okay, so we are going to take a look at the student view of Google Classroom, and afterwards you'll be asked to just post one thing you notice or wonder about the student view. Again, if you are having any issues with the chat, Rosie's cell is here. You can email Rosie. And worst case, don't worry about the chat if you can't get on. We'll hope you're there because there'll be a discussion, but you can always just text or email your replies.
And you know, I'm not sure if everyone knows how to refresh their window.
Oh, right. So that chat isn't always that live view. So if you click on your chat and then press F5, refresh, you will then get all the newest posts. Sometimes it does, but regularly if you go in and refresh, you'll see the latest post and you'll just have to scroll down.
Super. So we're going to jump over to the student view now.
Here we go.
Going to be Joe.
Joe, our buddy Joe. Okay, so students get to Google Classroom. There is an icon on the student landing page. They're going to click on it. And we do spend a lot of time in the student view because as a teacher, you're not going to see this view. So, you know, just watch, and I think it will make sense for them when we go to the teacher view. So your students, they probably are in a Google Classroom. So when they click on Google Classroom, they'll see this home view, and it will, have their classes. This one has that blue join, so a teacher invited them. If they don't have classes, they will have a picture, and we have videos in the class of this, and they'll just have to say they're a student, and then they'll be right up here, okay, to the home view. So we're gonna go click and go into the class and then take a look. So I see my 2 teachers, and this is the stream. So it's kind of like the Facebook feel, right? The newest post is on top. And I can see different types of posts. So here's a question that was posted. The question is completed, so it says done. I see other types of posts, and I see up here an assignment. Okay, so there's questions, announcements, and posts. On this second tab, I see all the other students in the class. And the third tab is that about. So I can see more information that doesn't change, it doesn't move anywhere. So I can see my teachers here, the name of this classroom in my drive, and some documents that the teacher has shared with me here. Okay, now I'm just going to click here, and I'm kind of doing this but I just want to show, we looked at the drive before, and I want to show that all the folders are actually in the drive.
You know, some people really like to know that things really do get saved and organized for them.
Right, yeah, so you can, the nice part about this is your students, it's their work, they have it in their drive. When next year, they're going to have it in their drive for them. Everybody has a classroom folder. You probably see this in your drive. And when a student opens this, they'll see all their Google Classrooms, okay? And then if they go into one of them would be all of the work that they have completed. So I'm just going to open this one, and then there are the lessons. So you really don't need to go here, but it's helpful to know that it is there. Okay, so those are our 3 tabs across the top. We're going to come back to the stream and spend a little more time in the stream. There are 3, there's a question, so my teacher can ask me a question. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one. It's a really nice feature, and you'll be able to ask your students questions. I can also, I have an announcement. So just something my teacher wanted to give to me, get information. And so this one actually has steps. Click on the link below, read the interview, answer your questions in your journal. So any link, if I click on it, it's going to open in a new tab for the student. So even if you start out slowly with Google Classroom and use it to get out links, it's a nice way to start. Or that said, with the question feature, just ask them questions. It's a nice way to get started. So this again is an announcement. I'm going to scroll up. The third type of feature that you can see in your stream is an assignment. And we like to number our assignments because then if you want to tell them to go right to it, you can just give them the number. As a student, this does look a little different than the teacher view. Whenever you can, click on the assignment. So they click on the assignment and they'll see everything that's available. So when you assign it, make sure they click on it and open it up. So this month is, our character trait is patience, and there's a video here to watch about patience. Create a document, type your paragraph, and turn it in. You'll notice down here is you can add, so a student can add their work from the drive. Again, you're not going to the drive anymore. They're always turning everything in through Google Classroom. For this assignment, what's really nice is if they create it right here, just under this Create tab and that triangle, they can create a doc right here, and watch what happens. So I'm going to create it, and it actually names it and puts the student's name. So now they already have a document created. They're going to click on it. Rosie's jewels are clinking over there. Just so you know. If you're hearing them, it's not my jewels.
I'm sorry.
So it opens, and look at this. It's already named this document, so that saves them time. And it's done all that sharing with the teacher, so they never have to go up to share. They're going to still type their name.
You know, whenever you mentioned Google Classroom is doing all that sharing for them, so it's only sharing between the teacher and this student.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically other kids wouldn't be able to see their work.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so thanks for bringing that up. And anything, other questions you see, just jump right in. Okay, so I'm done. The student is now going to see this turn in button that they usually do not see in docs. They click turn in. It takes them to the assignment in Google Classroom, and they're going to turn in again. Okay, so they're going to turn in, turn in. And that's how they would submit their assignment and then come back out and they're back in their stream. Okay. So now we looked at those 3 different types. We clicked on the assignment to look more further into the assignment. We submitted it. It submits it, it's kind of like a piece of paper turned into the teacher. So as a student, I cannot keep writing on this document. If I go back to it, I won't be able to write on it because it's turned into my teacher. Now, if I do want to keep working in it, either my teacher needs to return it to me, or there is an option, and I'll zoom in a little bit. On that, there is an unsubmit button. So a student, if they didn't mean to, sometimes they get a little click happy, they can unsubmit it and keep working on it. Otherwise, they can't work on it until the teacher returns it to them. So I'm going to come back out. I think this view is actually nice, a little bit larger for you guys. Okay, so up in the upper left corner, that's where that menu, those hot dogs, those lines, if you click on there, the student will see all the students, the classes. They can flip between here to their other classes. They can also click on work. So when I click on work, it brings up all their classes. I just want them to look at this class. It will show all of their work. So it's kind of like their to-do list, okay? Well, go to your work and see what you need to do. It also will show them what is done or completed, and that's where they can see their grade. Okay.
You know, and that feedback right there is so nice that you can give the students.
So we'll see how, from the teacher view, so you could give an overall comment, and students love to hear personal, even if it's some quick comment, they love that, or you can comment in the class. So to come back to this classroom menu, kind of to feel comfortable around here, because it's the same as the student view versus the teacher view. Teachers will just have an enrolled and then also the classes you're teaching. But if you click on the home button, that's that view that we started from the beginning. Okay? And to get back, the students are going to click on the name of the class to get in the class. If they click down here, it goes to their drive. Okay? So from the menu button, they can navigate to their class. This is also where we'll talk about it later, where students are just going to click on that plus and use the code to join your class. I've moved more and more to that from probably even third through 12, but maybe 4 or 5, grade 5 through 12. So you'll see what you decide. Okay, I'm going to go down, click back in the class. One other thing from that home page is there are these 3 dots, and whenever you see that, that's the edit. A student or a teacher, it gives you some options. So if they have classes from last year, they can unenroll here. And from the teacher view, you can archive there too. But so that is an option. Okay. So we're going to flip back and let's hear your thoughts about the student view. So I'm going to mute us for a minute while you just in the webinar chat type something you notice or wonder about the student view. And keep Rosie busy. I hope you've been asking a lot of questions of her.
I've got some good questions.
Okay, good. Okay. So we had a couple questions, and I want to go back into the class as a student. So you can turn this off, but we have allowed comments. So as a student, and any student can comment on your assignment. Now, as a teacher, you can turn this off, and we kept it on so you can see what it looks like. But usually when we go over to the teacher side, when you start using Classroom, I would not give students this option. And then once you talk about what type of educational comments or appropriate comments, then you could turn it on. So it's nice to kind of start tight, and then as you talk about the options, you can move into that. Were there any other, anything else you wanted to talk about from the comments?
So you mentioned the comments, and I think earlier on you did mention that there was that question feature. You just briefly mentioned
Yes.
it. And so we won't be going into that much, but in a question, you can have it turned on, whether you want students to have a discussion.
Exactly. So that discussion, that question is really nice. You can have it, this one is turned on, so students will see their classmates' answers, but you do not need to have that. It can be a private question, so a check for understanding, and that's one of the options. That's really nice.
You know, many people have said they like how kid-friendly it seems. They like how they can easily post announcements, keep the kids updated with what's going on. This was an interesting one. Something about portfolio assessments or keeping portfolios of students' work.
Right, yeah, because now you're starting to have that organized in the drive.
Yeah, so it's sort of like an electronic portfolio. Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so now we're going to look at the teacher view. So the next thing we'll ask you to post is a difference that you notice between the student and the teacher view. On to the teacher view. So you're going to go to Classroom on your laptop. You're going to go through Chrome, and we have all these directions, classroom.google.com. To get to Google Classroom, you can bookmark it. Also, if you're signed in, you have these RCSD favorites in Chrome. And it's way on the bottom, so there is Google Classroom there too. I'm not sure which one is faster. So it shows what classes I'm teaching, and I'm going to go into the class. All right, so we'll do the same thing as we did, go through the different tabs. You'll notice as a teacher, you can select a theme or upload a picture for your class. And they do have some cool backgrounds, and you can change it up. You can put a picture of your dog, your family. So you can do something related to your unit. So that's a nice thing, and it kind of helps the students tell which classroom by the colors too in the picture. Now, for a teacher, you're going to see all this. I can see that in this plus in the lower right-hand corner is how I create anything. So if you click on that, here are those three things you can create: a question, an assignment, or an announcement. Okay, and when you just click on it, an assignment, you'll have all the media that you can attach. Do a quick 17. One really nice thing for especially high school teachers, you can assign an assignment to multiple classes. So if you just click here, you can choose which class you want to assign it to. So you could do your English 1 and all three of those sections at one time. this is another, and we quickly talked about the media. You can attach any files, okay? You can attach files from your drive. You can attach a YouTube video, or you can attach a link to the YouTube video or a link to a website. Remember that our students, and we'll come back to this, we're working in the Google environment on a Chromebook, so if they're going to be view only. If you attach a Word document, they can view it, okay? If you attach a PDF, they can view it. There are some workarounds, but really those are viewing items. If you want them to create a document, or if you have a document in your drive, a Google Doc, they can type in it, okay? And the last feature here on this Assign, you can save as a draft. That's a great feature, especially for co-teachers or an ICOT classroom. Both teachers have the equal rights, and as many teachers as you want, you can put in the class, and you can create and be ready ahead of time, and then just when you're ready to assign, you can do that. Again, any assignment has those 3 dots, and you can edit or move it to the top. Okay, when you edit, you can change the date, you can change any of the text.
You know, and another nice thing with those drafts is you really don't want to throw everything on there at once for the students.
Yeah, it's overwhelming, right?
It's overwhelming. So, you know, you could have maybe your first activity posted in the classroom and then the rest of them sitting in drafts.
And even during class, just go ahead and assign it.
Yes. I've seen some teachers do that.
Okay. So the same thing as the student view, you have this classroom menu, and if you click at the top, you have the work that you're doing. And so that gives you a view of your classes and your assignments, and what you still need to review and what you have already reviewed. Okay, so that's similar to the student view. Okay, so that was our, okay, so we had a question, Rosie, what was the question?
We have a couple of questions of, so in here on the teacher side, how will I know students are turning in work?
Okay.
Or how will I know that they're, you know, what kind of notifications do I get?
Okay, so it's pretty live view. Once in a while you have to refresh, but when a student turns in an assignment, you're going to see all of a sudden this turns 1, 2, 3, and then in a minute we'll come back and look at how you can see those, the work that they did. Same with the question, you can start seeing who has answered, and then you would click in it to see their actual answers.
So like what you said, in just a minute, we'd be able to actually see students doing their work live.
It's kind of, yes. We can actually click on the document and pull it up in front of class and just see, oh, how much have you written? Or let's edit this together.
Right. And so I guess one of the questions about the notifications was, when students are submitting work, we don't get an email.
No, the one time you get an email is if they leave a comment when they submit. So any comment, if you want to get an email, if you like checking that email or that Gmail, if you really watch those notifications, have the students comment when they submit. Otherwise, you're going to come to Google Classroom and you'll see. And we might, what do you think? Should we just jump in there right now since we're talking about it? Okay. So if you want to see that student announcement or that assignment, you're going to click on the assignment, and then you'll see it sorts by status, or so you could sort by status, so you'll see the who is done and then not done. And I can see that I just click on the student, and there is that document that they turned in. So if I click on it, I can open it, and I can highlight, click on comment. These comments are different, but you can leave very specific feedback for your students.
So this is the way that the teacher could give their students feedback. And
Okay.
now, can the student comment back, reply back to the teacher in the comment?
That's a good question, and I see this happening a lot. The student cannot see the teacher's comments in the document until the teacher returns it to them. So I just left a comment for Joe, and I can add a grade now, or I can wait. If I add a grade, I'm going to change these points to just like a 9 points. Okay, so you can change the amount of points after the fact. If I leave a grade, so it was not finished, it automatically checks it, so it reminds me, and then I need to click return. If I don't give a grade and I just leave comments, I can click and then click return to the student. Then they'll be able to open it up and see those comments, reply back, turn it back in. So one thing to remember, you just turn in to you, and then you need to return it like it was a physical piece of paper. Okay, so we jumped right in and saw that that assignment and what it looks like, and you can see real time as people are turning it in. That's kind of the stream. Now, one last thing is you'll notice that the student left a comment on this. If it's an inappropriate comment, I can go to those 3 dots and I can delete it. I can also mute Joe. We wish it was this easy, like to mute a student, but you can take away their permissions to post, and that's a nice classroom management feature. Okay, so I can mute Joe from there, or you can go to the Students tab. Now, from the Students tab, I can highlight everyone, and students can comment. I can change it to only teacher can post or comment, and that might be a good way to start out. Okay, so I notice this is all the students in my class. I also have a class code right here. And that's the code, and it's also on the stream page, that you can put up on your whiteboard for the first day, and that's the code they put in. They put their plus and they join your class. Then they're in your class. They don't have to do that again. Okay, so that's where that class code is here. All right, so that's the Students tab.
Now, I do notice that all my students are listed here. And when you said I was assigning a assignment, is there a way that I could assign it just to a small group?
This comes up a lot. The best way, when you assign, everybody sees it in the stream. Now that said, you have a couple of options. In your assignment name or your announcement name, you could clarify which group it's for, okay? Or you could put multiple groups in one assignment, like which documents. But if you just want a certain group, you might put the red group or whatever your group name is in the assignment. That's one way. Some teachers, once they get more comfortable with Google Classroom, might actually create a new classroom for a project or for their reading group. Okay, so you have that option too. Okay, so we talked about the stream, the students, and lastly, this about. This is where you invite teachers. So the about your classroom, you there's this invite teacher down here, so you can invite your other teachers here. Also, this gives the name just like the student, and it shows a calendar view. So this is a new integration with Google Classroom. I can click on View in Classroom, and it will show my week and where my assignments or questions, where the due dates are, okay? And this is in a Google Calendar. So that was from that last tab, the About tab. About, if you have certain websites that, or materials, a lot of, if your textbook happens to have a website or there's websites you use frequently, you can add those here. You can add like a folder here. You can put documents for your class, and this is not going to move like in the stream. All right, it's your turn. Post one difference that you notice between the teacher and the student view. All right, so we're back. I know Rosie's been typing away over there. One question, the students do have the same Google Calendar in their About. So that was a question. Sounds like people really want to mute their students, especially this time of year. So I'm glad you guys like that.
I really like how the students can see their grades immediately. They like how the teacher can see that instant, if students are turning in work, and can instantly view what's going on.
I'm always struck by teachers really comment on this. I've never gotten my papers back to my students so quickly. So that actually leads us into the next thing we wanted to talk about. Was there anything else, Rosie? Because, oh, we have one last thing to talk about the assignment, and just to clarify. So when you add a Word document or a PDF to an assignment, students cannot type in it, okay? And for this class, we're not even going to worry about adding those documents unless you want them just to view it, okay? Just this comes up, it's probably the one thing that we find comes up repeatedly, and it's confusing. You can attach a Word doc or PDF for the students to view. So in your assignments, we saw that you could do that. And we go over this in the class, and this whole thing is overwhelming. We're throwing a lot at you, but that's why this is just to get the feel. And then everything in the classroom, in the online component, will go through specific directions, okay, more the how-to. So,
and we do record this. And we will be posting this video so that way you can come back and review some of these things.
Right, right. Okay. So onto the app. There is an awesome Google Classroom app, and just download it, Google Classroom. And then once you sign in, you can get notifications. You can do a lot of things from your phone. While you're downloading, make sure to download the Drive and Google Docs and Google Slides at the same time. So then you'll be able to open those documents. It's available in the App Store or the Play Store for Android devices. That's exciting. I think you're going to like that.
There were several people asking about that.
Oh, we kept it till the end.
I know.
And while you guys were typing just a few minutes ago, I took a lovely picture. But, you know, we have to expose everything. So now from my phone, I just posted it so easily. I posted an announcement, attached the picture. I'll open it up short. You probably look good, Rosie, I'm sure. Oh, there we are. Okay, just minutes ago. But just think it's so easy from your phone to capture and post to your Google Classroom. And I know your ideas are now like, oh, I could do this, I could do this. And that's really exciting.
But just having that feature available, you know, maybe your students are working on something outside the classroom and they want to capture something they noticed. Maybe they want to record themselves creating something.
I know.
And then they could turn it in.
Also, we hear, you know, oh, this will be great. My students can actually look through the class from home, from wherever they are, using a smartphone. So that is the app. Okay. So I just want to, we just have a few minutes left, quick wrap up, and then we'll be out the door. We talked about the different options for sharing. So you can use the Drive. You can use Google Classroom. We recommend grade 3 through 12, minimal setup. You'll see that it's, once you get going in it, it's very intuitive, how to add and how to look at student work for both the teachers and the students. Your other option is create a class in e-learning. Okay, take that, creating your virtual classroom. And so that we usually recommend as an option for grade 7 through 12. Okay, great. Well, we have recorded this session. It will be posted in the same place in assignment 2 or the view 2. And again, this was one component, and we'd like you to just post a ticket out the door. One thing you learned or one question you have. We'll be here for the next 5 minutes. And I'll put Rosie to get all those answered right away. No, you can always email us through the class. The how-to component, again, is in the class, and you have a week to complete it. One thing we're going to stress, if you can today, go ahead and create your class in Google Classroom. Okay, it's in all the documentation is in the class. It's task 3. You're going to log on to Google Classroom, go to that plus, and just create your class. We just want to make sure you're set with your class before the weekend, and then you have, till next Wednesday. So we want to ask you to do that today or tomorrow. Right after the class would be great. So just post one thing you learned or one question you have, and thanks for taking the time to be with us today. All right.